the Herget and secure the Herget title for the first time, I think, in what?
20.
Did we go on? We went,
No.
we didn't go undefeated.
Either it was 19 or 20.
Yeah,
Been a few years.
it's been a few years anyway that we've won the Herget title and then gone on to win the Division III state championship title too. So it was an overall effort. There was not a single individual state champion, but we really the team was carried on the backs of the relay teams and everyone kind of pulling their weight. At that meet, they really stepped up and performed in an outstanding way. Couldn't be more proud.
And then this spring was also pretty incredible. We went 5-0 overall, 4-0 in the Herget, won the Herget title. We won the D3 relay championship in the middle of the season for the first time in school history. And then about a month and a half later, we won the D3 state title outdoors for the first time in school history. So it's been an amazing year. These guys behind me are super selfless, made sacrifices all season, worked for each other, worked as a team. It's been an incredible journey, and it's been awesome being a part of it. So big shout out to all these guys behind me. They were awesome.
Excellent. Questions or comments from the committee? Ms. Syrick?
I just want to say, it's been like, congratulations. It's really unprecedented. It was really fun on Instagram, right? I feel like every track meet or there was something going on, it was like title, record. So it was amazing to kind of follow the progress, and it's great. Congratulations, and thank you for all your hard work. It's amazing.
They've set a number of records that have stood for a really long time too, so it's been really incredible. And then there's still a few continuing their season for outdoor at the New England Championships this weekend, and then
Actually on your docket in a little bit.
potentially. And then there's also a nationals competition as well that some have qualified for. So one has qualified for outdoor. Many qualified in the indoor season, and one more for the outdoor season.
Very good. Ms. Galvin?
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations also. I think that lots of times people think of track as an individual sport, and I think that you were recognized as taking it to the next level in that, you were on the hook for your own individual components, but you were more of a team than you were a set of individuals. And I think those kind of things carry over into your future. Like, I think it's great for writing a college essay about how that became important to you, or when you're applying for jobs. It's the kind of thing that people like to see, that you are selfless, and we couldn't be more proud of you. So thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you very much. Anything further, Mrs. Rogers?
I just want to say congratulations too, and not to pick out favorites, but I have a couple neighbors out there, so Shane and Brady, good job. But it was really fun watching all of the successes, and I think, I'm excited for now, like the next generation too, and for this tradition to carry on, that you guys are starting a real legacy here.
Excellent. We join with your folks and your friends and the entire community in giving you our congratulations. It's wonderful that perhaps some of the records you have set as a team and as a group may be a bar that generations of Walpole kids strive for in the future. So we wish you very well. And if I see no objection, since we're all here, perhaps we can take out of order the out-of-state field trip request for some of you to continue to do amazingly up in New Hampshire in 2 days' time. So I think it's pretty straightforward. Mrs. Denizio.
Congratulations to all of you, and I will make a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip request for the Walpole High School track team to the University of New Hampshire this Saturday, June 8th.
And to waive the 30-day requirement.
And I will also make a motion to waive the 30-day notice.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Denizio, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700.
Mr. Buckley, can we get a picture of them?
Absolutely. We'll have you down. Mary will get a picture for our newsletter.
Or you guys
front
get
of
everyone on
Carrie
this
and,
side
yeah.
in front of the desk, facing that way. Come in this way and face that way. Yeah.
Please stand in front of us.
If you could arrange yourselves in order of 100 times, yes, that would be good.
You guys have to squeeze in. Squeeze in tight.
Oh, no. You can keep blocking.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Team.
Thank you very much. Our next order of business is the Walpole High School Student Report. We have Representative James Patey from the high school this evening to give his report. Please wait a minute for everybody to- Thank you very much. Patey.
Good evening, all. My name is James Patey, and I'm finishing up my sophomore year of high school at Walpole High School. So the year is wrapping up with finals starting on Monday the 10th, and going through the last day of school, Thursday, June 13th. The seniors graduated last Sunday, June 2nd, and the celebration took place on Turco Field. Congratulations to all, and best of luck in the past after high school. MCAS testing has officially completed for the 2023-2024 school year, with the freshmen having finished their science and technology testing yesterday, June 5th. The freshmen are having a semi-formal dance tomorrow, Friday, June 7th, in the Walpole High School gym from 6 to 8 p.m. All who are attending must arrive by 6:15 and stay until 8. Freshman orientation took place on May 28th in the Walpole High School auditorium. All incoming 9th graders who plan to play sports should have attended. If they did not, they should contact Athletic Director Ron Dowd. Undergraduate Awards Night took place on Monday, June 3rd. Outstanding students for each grade were recognized with individual awards. SAT registration for the 2024-2025 school year has started. Students may register through their college board accounts. Walpole Public Schools invites former students and members of the Walpole community to see Bird Middle School for the last time before demolition starts. Open house for the 63-year-old building will be from 4:30 to 7 p.m. on Friday, June 14th. Clubs are wrapping up with various activities happening. The robotics team will be having a bottle and can drive on Saturday, June 8th in front of the Plimpton building. The Latin Club is planning a trip to Sicily in April of 2025. A meeting regarding this trip took place this evening at Walpole High School. The Photography Club had their last meeting of the school year today as well. All Walpole High School spring sports teams are having amazing seasons. As we just saw, the boys track team won the Division III state championship on May 27th after an amazing year, winning states for cross country and indoor track as well. Number three seed Walpole softball beat Doherty Memorial 3-0 on Saturday, June 1st. Number 2 seed girls lacrosse also played Saturday and beat Norwood 19-2. On Monday, June 3rd, the number 1 seed Walpole baseball beat Marshfield 12-0. Number 5 seed boys lacrosse also played Monday and beat Whitman Hanson 19-5. And that's everything, so thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Those are pretty comprehensive questions or comments from the committee. Seeing none, thank you so much. Please feel free to remain with us as long as your schedule allows.
Have a good summer, James.
Good luck. We'll see you soon. Excellent. Our next order of business is a Walpole High School grades 9 to 12 trip to Italy field trip request, out-of-state field trip request from April 18th, 2025 to April 26th, 2025. So, Salve, Praetor McCall, we'll have you.
Salvete
We'll
and
have you.
buonasera.
We'll have you present your request to the board.
Thank you. So, just to start with, the original intent, the last trip we took to Italy was, I believe, 2017, 2018. Then we had planned another one, and the pandemic kind of stopped that one. So this is the first one since then that I've been trying to get rolling again. The original intent was to do Rome, but I was then reminded by the tour director at the Paideia Institute that 2025 is a jubilee year for the church, so there's expected to be millions more pilgrims coming into Rome in 2025. Basically, hotels are already getting totally booked out. You know, we would not be able to probably stay anywhere near the center of the city like we did last time. So he suggested a few other options, and I decided to go with Sicily because I think, you know, you're really going to get a little of everything with the Sicily trip. You know, you have an island where you have these colonies that are built by Greeks and also Carthaginians as well. So you're going to get that. Then, of course, the Romans swoop in and leave their mark on it. Then Arabs and Berbers move in. You know, I had just recently finished a book, Streams of Gold, Rivers of Blood, by Anthony Caldelis, a Byzantine historian, where he's getting into the Byzantines' attempt to retake Sicily in the 11th century, and then a bunch of Normans show up and take it from them. So you're getting all of this, you know, Greek, Roman, medieval, all these layers, and of course, you know, the importance of Sicily in, you know, American culture as well as a result of, you know, so the huge waves of Sicilian immigration to the U.S. And the impact it's had on us. So, you know, that was why we went with Sicily. The trip would be, again, April 18th. We would fly out. We'd arrive in Catania on the 19th, and then kind of make our way south to Syracuse along the southern coast and eventually up to Palermo. Most of the cities will be staying one night, with the exception of Syracuse, it's 2 nights, and Palermo is 2 nights. And then on the 26th, we would fly out of Palermo and back to the U.S. The price of the trip, so the minimum number of students we are looking for 2 chaperones would be 12 students. I've had 2 meetings so far. There seems to be substantial interest. I think I've had maybe 25, 26 people inquiring about the trip. So there do seem to be a lot of people who are interested in signing up for it. The price is $44.50 with 12 people. Obviously, the more we get, that lowers the price. I have opened the trip up to all students. You know, traditionally, going back the day with foreign language trips, we tended to just do people who are currently enrolled in those languages. I know Spanish has sort of opened it up. So, you know, there might be students who have not had a chance to take Latin or to take mythology or, you know, those classes yet, but maybe still have an interest in the world of the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans. And, you know, they should have an opportunity as well to come along on the trip and learn something. You know, I did not opt for a travel assistant who would speak Latin the entire time, although that is an option with the Paideia Institute, just for the sake of those students. And I feel like even my own Latin students would not be delighted if I had to speak Latin the entire time on the trip. But the cost, of course, covers all the transportation, accommodation. You know, we have traveled with Paideia in the past. I had no complaints last time. You know, accommodations were excellent, very clean, very safe. The food was wonderful. They did a great job of bringing kids to restaurants that really highlighted the local cuisine when we were in Rome. So it wasn't like they were just eating, you know, just whatever, quick buffet or things like that. I think the kids really got a chance to get a better appreciation for Italian cuisine. And of course, we would have a Paideia assistant with us the whole time. These are usually people who've recently graduated with a classics degree, you know, and just sign on to lead tours for a year or 2 with Paideia. So again, they're coming with a classics background, so they have a real depth of knowledge in what we would be looking at.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Bacall. Questions or comments from the committee?
Motion to approve the Italy field trip, April 18th to April 26th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Gayotis. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. Have a wonderful time.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Very good. The next order of business is our work study update. This evening you have Mr. James Conley and as well to give us his annual work study update at year end. Mr. Conley.
Hello. Yeah, we kind of did a combo. Thank you.
Did you do? Okay.
Yeah, we did a combo deal. Lee Toby. Yes, Lee Toby. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being flexible too. I know we were supposed to be in the May showing, but you made some moves. Appreciated. We have Abby Johnson with us as well. She'll speak in a few moments about her experience this year as a student in the work study program. I also want to note, Sam is too nice to mention this, she was named Coach of the Year, D2 Coach of the Year. So that's another tip in the cap for the track team. And Abby's state champion for field hockey. We're doing great in Walpole sports. But yeah, so work study. I sat here last year talking about our first voyage into it. Yeah, first year into it. We had 7 students last year. This year we jumped up to 18. I'm going to.
Right over there, pointed there. I'll advance the slide, you just tell me.
Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, just got a name right at it. So this year we had 18, so we grew pretty quickly. Our kids were kind of, again, showing how far the program could go as far as like what their internships were. Everyone knows work study. But as far as this year, we had a lot of the classics like electrical, plumbing. We had a student doing welding. I think one of our coolest ones, we had a student who was, he was learning like mechanics of helicopters and then also doing flight school. And so like by the end of it, he had like flown a plane. He had been flying helicopter tours. Or he wasn't flying, but he was assisting with the helicopter tours. Yes, he was not flying a helicopter around Boston. And so like that's, again, sky's the limit for work study. We had another student in.
We caught that.
Yeah. We had another student doing EMT certification. We had a student exploring cosmetology. She got her esthetician certification, as well as all of her apprentice hours. And in about a week, we'll be taking her exams to be fully like licensed as an esthetician. We had a student that was an auto body mechanic, and then we had a bunch that did kind of general construction or excavation. Abby did physical therapy. I know last year I brought you a plumber. This year I'm bringing a physical therapist. We'll have her speak about her time in just a sec. This year we also, I mentioned this last year, we had every student get OSHA certified. As you'll see when we start talking about pathways in a few minutes, like going towards industry certification is, something that we're really trying to push. It's something that's recognized, and so every student left the first half of the year OSHA certified, went into their internships just a little better prepared for that. We also started a tool donation program this year. I realized that it might not, tools are very expensive for those who know. And for some of our students who are interested in joining these more manual, hands-on trades, that upfront cost, like some companies, it's you supply your tools. So like that upfront cost, I was like, how do we find a way around this? And I was like, you know what, there's a lot of people in this town. I'm sure there's people who are willing to, get rid of some old tools and, help some students out. And we've had over 100 tools donated so far. A lot of companies, local companies, have donated their tools to us. So we're really excited about that, and I'm looking to keep building that. Here's just a couple pictures from kids on the job site this year. Again, as you can see, there's some airplanes in there. A lot of it is construction-based. That's Abby's leg hooked into a machine up there. She did some physical therapy testing, I'm sure she'll talk about. But again, it just kind of shows that all these jobs are all over the place. Like, kids are waking up, and these are kids that are historically maybe not the best at showing up on time to school. And they're waking up and going to work, 30, 40 minutes earlier than when school started. So it's just kind of putting them in a classroom that looks like that instead of our traditional desks and whiteboard. It really goes a long way. Here's businesses we're currently working with this year. This looks quite different from last year, and it's going to look really different from next year. And I think that's one thing that's really cool about this program is there's a lot of people from the community that are really wanting to work with us. I put little blue stars next to companies that are either a parent of a Walpole student or a Walpole alumni. Abby actually worked with her maiden name Jill Grime, now Jill Cleveland, a Walpole alum, and it was great. Again, the community's buying in, the alumni are buying in, students are buying in. It's really been a positive year too. And again, that was going 7 to 18. We almost tripled. Next year, looking ahead, we're actually going to be, if you combined year 1 and 2, we have 25 that we accepted for next year. And then again, some of our internships for next year: cosmetology, music production, painting, heavy equipment operation, construction, physical therapy, electrical, TV production, civil engineering. We got EMT and nursing certification, fashion design, which I'm excited to learn more about, welding, plumbing. So it's the kids are starting to, all right, how can I use this to to really kind of align with my career goals? And again, that was the purpose of why we started this program. Next year, we're also going to be pretty much fully aligned with DESE's vocational standards. We pretty much have been already. I don't know why I put that on that slide, but I wanted to remind myself to mention that. We have been doing a pretty good job. But next year, it's going to be, they have like protocols that employers will fill out. And so we're just going to use like the state's handed out. You're going to follow their guidelines on that as far as what voc schools are supposed to do with a co-op. And then we're going to start talking about how we're expanding internships and kind of connecting career and college into the high school with the innovation pathways, which we're very excited about, and we'll try to, we get like really giddy every time we talk about it and we just start going. So please slow us down, ask questions. But I would love to have Abby just share, again, last year it was a plumber, this year is physical therapy, a much different experience.
Teach him all of the skills that he's going to need to be, to get a job in the future.
Yeah, he worked on he was writing code for a program to help identify like cells in like a microscope. So it was like a program that they were actually rolling out. They just like, we've been meaning to do this, we just don't have the time. So Dylan was able to help with like a real ongoing college level, this is Dr. Campbell, like his project that he's working on. And I thought that was, a really unique opportunity. Obviously, you probably can't do that for 1,000 kids every year, but, at least for the pilot, again, it was similar to work study. We started with, let's start small and see what we can do. And I think that's just going back to like what our approach for this is gonna be, is like, let's just see how it rolls out. We'll make the adjustments, year to year. And let's just continue to hopefully grow it to a school-wide thing. And that, like, again, we're only at the end of year 2 of like the work study being a full program. The kids know about it now too. It's like we're hoping pathways in a few years will just be kind of meshed into the fabric of the school. And again, there's a lot of kids that have already shown interest just from a 3-sentence blurb in Steve's e-notes. And they're like, what is that? I like that. Can I do that? So the kids are behind it, and well, excited.
Yeah, and Dylan's skills in coding came from the classes that he took at the high school, but also we're partnering with the Work-Based Learning Alliance, which is another Massachusetts program. I apparently need to read the commissioner's email more often, because this is where I find all of these different things.
All the goods.
Yeah, that I clicked on and thought that might be something, so I sent it out to all the kids, and it was in Steve's e-notes for a couple of weeks at the beginning, or a couple of months, beginning of the year, and we had about 15 kids do virtual internships through the Work-Based Learning Alliance. Dylan was one of them that did it last summer, and he did a 100-hour internship with IBM and really learned how to code effectively and efficiently. And so then was able to use those skills to be able to do this internship. So it's, all of these things are starting to kind of come together, which is really great.
Cool.
So next year, we are receiving a $75,000 tranche of money, and then we will receive $50,000 for the next 3 years. So it's a $300,000 total grant. the reason that we applied for one this year, because in the first meeting, we were like, oh, we'll apply for these 3 all at once. The trick is you only get it's 75, 50, 50, 50 based on the years, not the number of pathways. So our goal next year is to apply for a second pathway, and then the year after to apply for a third, and then hopefully a fourth after that.
Yeah, and just, sorry to cut you off. And the beauty too is, it's like I envision work study as a pathway, but that's obviously not like a state recognized one. I know STEM Academy, that's not necessarily a state recognized one either, but the kids have that pathway already. And so we kind of are already doing a lot of this stuff at the school. So we might as well get some money for it, and we might as well, like put it to the kids so that they're working for something and working towards something, and then bringing that career in college to the kids.
So with the money that we are receiving for next year, we are hiring an assistant coordinator to assist James. That person will also teach the seminar. So that's where our goal is, to apply for this money for the next couple of years so that we can fund this position for a number of years through this grant. So that's because James is amazing at what he does, but can't do all of this stuff. But it's also something that we, especially in this first year, we need to figure out like how much work it's going to be, and if we're going to scale this up to service all 1,000 or so kids, it's going to take a lot of coordination and somebody to be able to organize all of that. And I think one of the major advantages that we've had now that James is fully in this role, and I would like to say thank you again for that, because it's so valuable for so many of our kids. But it's also so valuable for the program itself, because we're able to grow it. He's able to be dedicated to this work and go out on job sites and make these connections and do like the amazing work that then benefits these kids. That for some of them, this was the reason they didn't drop out. And so while Innovation Pathways, that's not our target audience, it's not our target audience. And so by giving people the ability to really focus on this work is really going to only make it better in the future. So it's something that, if this is something that we feel is really important for our kids, and to be able to give them these opportunities and see what they love, what they don't, and to be able to give them these marketable skills in the future. So it's something that, we want to make sure that we have people dedicated to that. Because as much as I love doing this, which I absolutely do, that's not, I do love doing this. It's not something I can do full-time, but it's at a high level, and it's something that really should be done at a high level. It's something that I, again, love doing because I think it's really important, and really important for our kids, but it's something that I know if I can delegate that to James does an amazing job. If James can then have somebody else to support him, so hopefully we'll find somebody good that can be this magical unicorn and do all this amazing stuff for us. And that's our goal.
Thank you, Ms. Tobey. Mr. Conley, strong work. Questions and comments from the committee? Ms. Rogers?
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is so exciting. With the money from the grant, is that also paying for the college credits? Okay, so a good portion, like I don't know, do you get a discount like on the credits?
Like from the colleges?
Yeah.
There's a lot of honestly, a lot of colleges are kind of getting the hint too that they're like, we need to do a better job kind of like reaching those kids, and also like getting these kids prepared for college. So they're kind of taking away some of those barriers now. And again, like a lot of our staff are teaching high-level classes. Again, I use film as the example because I'm very familiar with it, but we send a lot of kids to film school, and they get there and they're like, I didn't need to go the first semester. I already knew everything, like from class. Like they're like, I
Literally.
like, yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
I didn't need to pay for that. And so we're like, all right, let's throw our curriculum out and see if we can get this accredited. And again, they said yes. And
And they won't have to repeat those classes, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
they,
Potentially.
potentially,
Or
if
for
the
the-
college accepts
yeah.
the credits.
Or for the kids, yeah, a lot of schools, I feel like, are also very, like, if you're a film student, like, that film school that you go to, that's a very specific thing, they're probably gonna want you to take their class. But that would count as a non-core at most colleges. So the kids that are in it, like, enjoying it, like, they're gonna be able to apply that credit. Or, like, even the film kids can apply that credit, just not as, they'll probably still have to take the
Right.
class again.
I like
Each
the-
college is different, like AP, it's kind of varies college to college.
But to your question about the discount, it is the school that we're going through is Southern New Hampshire University. It is a much reduced, like, it's not a traditional private college, 3-credit class at, $2,500 for 3 credits. It's like
It's 100, yeah.
$100.
Wow, that's awesome.
So for the students in the program, and this is what the beauty of this dual enrollment is going to be too, for the students in the program, we'll cover the cost.
Mhm.
For the students who are not in the program, they can still apply for the 3 college
Oh.
credits.
So they pay.
They would just have to pay the $100, similar to AP.
Yeah.
Students
Cheaper
who are in the
than AP.
program would get their AP fee covered, whereas students not in the program would not.
And I think it's good for the teachers too, to have this like adjunct thing on their resume as well, like that
Yeah.
benefits, I see a benefit to all students and teachers and
Yeah.
everything, so thank you.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's
I'm
just,
excited.
again, it's just kind of, we have teachers, like, listening to Gabe speak, I'm like, I could listen to him talk about, like, wooden ships all day. Like, whenever he's so into it, and it's like, he has the credentials that teachers at colleges have. So, like, why, he could get accredited in the future, why not? Like, I know Laura Kay, actually, the language department, she has a pairing with UMass Boston. And so we're like, oh, that is a possibility. I know next year, Joanne Ruther's looking to continue her partnership with Northeastern. That's not a credit thing, but I know she's like working towards getting that.
But we did speak to the professor that she's working with Northeastern, and she is now looking into what opportunities we have to partner with them.
Yeah.
So it's really, like, we're starting to make connections with different people to be able to grow this program as much as we can.
Mrs. Callahan.
You can go.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, I think this is my favorite presentation for the whole year. Because really, it's showing some of the great things that we're doing already, but it's showing really important forward thinking for kids. I worry that there are more and more kids that aren't going to be able to afford college and, or are going to waste their time because they didn't get a chance to dig in a little bit in high school.
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing it's just so important, and it's just great to hear it. Like, the two of you are passionate, and I think that matters.
I told you we could talk.
No, but kids see that, and they know that, and I think we're really fortunate to have you doing it, but you made my night.
Ms. Denizio.
So first of all, thank you both for your foundational work that made all this possible. It's really, really huge for Walpole High School, so thank you. I like to think that part of the school committee's role is to be the PR team for the amazing things that are happening in the district, and so I'm just inviting both of you to please let us know how we can further publicize the work that you're doing. Work study is for sure, your profile is increasing in the community, but I think every time somebody new hears about it, they're very excited about it and really want to support it. So if we can amplify your message in any way, if we can encourage the tool donation, if we can, for work study and pathways, anything we can do in that regard. But the flip side of that coin is that, as you know, we're embarking on a high school renovation project, and that project is designed to touch a lot of these elements that you all are talking about. Tech and engineering, music, media, production, right? And so when we go further into detail on what this project looks like and what it means for our students when we talk to the community, it will be hugely important for us to hear from you about what this means for your programs and for the students, and how many students are gonna be impacted, whether it's by more opportunities for college credit or whatever it might be, right? So I would also request that, you know, create some brainstorm about what you're most excited about, the possibilities that are opening up, and get it to us so that we can share it with the broader community, because we heard a little bit from Mr. Imbush at our workshop. Was that this week? Was that last week? Last week?
It all runs together.
And his passion was evident, and you too, as Mrs. Galvin said, your passion is evident, and I think it's going to be a wonderful opportunity to highlight the work that you're doing and explain how we're bringing Walpole High School into the next generations of learning to come, so bring it on, I guess, is what I'm saying, and thank you again.
Questions, comments, Mrs. Gates? It's
Yeah, I know you said you're getting the word out to people through, I think you said it was the e-notes. For incoming students, you said you're not quite there yet. So when you have new students coming into the high school, how are you planning on reaching them?
Well, so I think starting end of next year, ideally, we're gonna push into 8th grade and just, you know, they'll all be in one place, awesome. So we can just go to one middle school and be like, hey, you know, we have this program, like if you're interested, also the cutoff to apply, like you can apply before junior year. So again, a lot of kids like might hit this criteria and then going into junior year, but like, you know what, I wanna push myself, you know, these next 2 years, I'm gonna take some higher level classes, I'm gonna see if I can, you know, have something at the end of high school to show that here's my capstone or here's my internship, you know, something to show a college or show an employer saying, you know, I'm really into this, here's the proof. So I think, yeah, so back to that question, sorry, we like to talk about this program a lot. We will start pushing into the middle school at the end of next year is the plan right now. And again, for our next year's freshmen and sophomores, they're gonna be thrown into the MyCap side of it. And then we can also identify what students are already like checking these boxes. Again, Jen Dolan is like a wizard with the schedule thing. She already found a way to pull up what kids hit that criteria with just like a button, like it pulls up a list.
I was gonna suggest, so when we were looking at courses, there was like a lot of courses, right? And
Yep.
I have a daughter going into freshman year, so I recently was going through it with her, and for instance, we were talking about possibly marketing, advertising, some of the things you were talking about.
Sure.
And I was kind of picking out courses and like highlighting, oh, this might be cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if maybe working some of that material into there, and so parents can kind of take a look at it and say, oh, this might be something you might wanna think about.
Yes, that will happen. Innovation Pathways will get incorporated into the program of studies. The program of studies is done in December, and we didn't get designation until May, so that's where we want to make sure we have the designation before we promote that we have the designation.
Makes sense.
So.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, we were not not that we weren't
We weren't
confident.
pessimistic, yeah.
We just were realistic.
Yeah.
But what we will do is incorporate a lot of those, put all of those charts of like, here's your sequence, and the charts that are in all of your materials, that's what we submitted to the state for designation. We've also revised those since then. Not heavily, but like we've refined it into what would be most realistic for some kids. You know, adding in dual enrollments, because again, not every student is able to access AP level work, which is fine. But we will incorporate all of those charts, all of those like ideal pathways. We're really struggling to find another word other than pathway to describe like the different branches of the tree of pathways. You can tell we've talked about this a lot over the last year now. But all of that will get incorporated, and with the MyCap seminars and with the like promotion that we'll try to do in the middle schools. And again, like Christina Kelleher and I and James, like we're also working with Connor and John to try and make sure that we have this like better transition for students from 8th to 9th, to be able to make sure like they know about all the different opportunities we have at the high school and be able to mirror our programs with what they're doing at the middle school.
Yeah,
Really
and kind of piggybacking just off that, like from work study, even just 2 years, I've learned that you have to tell the kids the same thing in, 14 different ways for them to be like, oh, I get it. Like on the 14th one, you're like, yes, I broke through. And I think we're going to try to do that with like promoting like all these programs. I know that we're looking to revamp how our program of studies is presented. Like we do currently have a like video one that's like kind of outdated. I think this is my 9th year. I think that was like my first or second years when we did that. And so we're looking to revamp that, and like again, Pathways, we would check into that. I just filmed a commercial for Pathways with Pete O'Farrell for TV. So again, all that like quick marketing that we're able to be like, here's what this is. Here's a meeting on this day if you want to learn like deeper. Again, like we've done some after school info sessions for work study. I envision the same thing for Pathways.
Yeah, we will be
We're going
doing
to be
like
hosting,
more
community outreach.
Jen Dolan and I spoke at the PAC meeting right after April vacation, which was great. So presented very similar slides to them. So, and that was literally right after we received our official designation, I think the day after. So, so that was a good learning experience for us of just like what people's questions were going to be and what what we need to anticipate going forward. So we're always learning, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability and as high a level that we possibly can for our kids. So.
Well, thank you so much, because I think this is great. I mean, I agree completely that focusing on career readiness, and not everybody's, college bound or can afford it these days, and just getting kids to focus earlier on what they enjoy and all these wonderful opportunities we have at the high school. I mean, there's just such, like you said, amazing courses that you don't get in other high schools, and I think this just is really gonna highlight it for the community and pull it together in a way that's marketable and just tells a good message. So congratulations, it's fantastic work.
Thank you.
Strong work. Thank you very much, Ms. Toby and Mr. Connor. I think as some of my colleagues said, the fall is going to be very heavily focused on the building you work in. So perhaps, I know in the past, we've had some of our other programs come in and maybe give us a little talk to Finance Committee and the like. I think they're going to be very focused on that building as well. So I think this is a huge piece. I love the aggressiveness with which you sought grants. I love the deliberate nature with which you've built this program, and I think we should find as many ways as possible to kind of educate the wider community, even, people like Jim and I. This is very different than 20 years ago, 15 years ago at Walpole High, and the way in which you focus in a wraparound fashion of to make sure that each child achieves a successful launch into post-secondary education is just a completely different way of doing things. I think a lot of folks may think we're just doing the way we did it for a long time, and so I think this is just such a seismic shift that I'd love to find ways to encapsulate that throughout this year and moving forward as well. So that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking
Thank
the time
you.
to be with us.
Thanks for having us.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.
You
You
too.
too.
Moving right along, we now have a bullying data reporting update. Copy of the PowerPoint presentations in the packet.
I'll take that pointer. I'll take that.
I believe Dr. Hahn, this is yours.
All right, everyone, while Ms. Mortale's pulling up the slide deck, which is in front of you, I'll get started. So this I always try to use this opportunity to remind everyone that, this presentation and this commitment to presenting at the end of every year about our bullying prevention intervention plan, and mostly rooted in the data from our investigations, started really during 2018 during the Safe Schools Initiative. And there was 150 different community members, parents, teachers that would participate in that. And I think it was Walpole, the community's way of speaking up and just saying they wanted more transparency, more information. And, this now, 6 years later, and we're still committed to that. So I always just try to share that to show our sustained effort to try to be transparent in our response to bullying. So while the listening audience is getting the slides presented to them, I guess I'll wait. Should I wait?
No.
Nope. All right. I always also use this opportunity to share a slide on the definition of bullying. We do our very best at schools, especially with our students and family members, to really explain and define what bullying is, because we know that word is oftentimes thrown around loosely and casually. So I've outlined the law here, and I oftentimes summarize it to a parent or to a community members that bullying, we really look at it that it needs to be three things. It needs to be repeated, there needs to be some form of power indifference, and obviously there needs to be some form of harassment, form of harm, either physical or emotional. I don't mean to just oversimplify it through those three things, but that's really in some ways the best way I've been able to describe it to folks, to describe what actually constitutes something as bullying. I also use this opportunity to clarify that if something is not bullying, if it's not repeated, if maybe there isn't a power indifference, it's more conflict, it does not mean that we look away or it's not a big deal. It just isn't how we would necessarily define bullying. And in some cases, how we respond to bullying is very similar to how we'd respond to harassment or single harassment or teasing or conflict between two students. And I'll try to touch upon that when I get a little bit more into the data. Going to the next slide in front of you, I want to bring a highlight of some of the ways that some of the aspects, of our bullying prevention intervention plan. We developed that plan several years ago in consultation with many, many different stakeholders, but it is updated. We're required to update it every other year. We update it every year through the feedback from our leadership council, our wellness committee, and oftentimes from the feedback actually of our school councils as well. It is posted and available on our district and school website, and the link to the bullying prevention handbook also provides you a link with how to report bullying. So we try to make that as easy and simple as possible. And it also should be noted that as part of the DESE tiered focus monitoring process, the state reviews your plan to make sure that it's up to date, that it is updated, like I said, at least every other year, and revised and reviewed by your school and school community. So I figured now we would take a look at the 2023-2024 data. Went the wrong way? Okay. So one thing I want to note, and this is true for the data on this slide and the following, is this is data as of May 29th. So this could, principals are constantly updating our database. We had 44 reports and allegations of bullying. I broke those down by who made the reports. Under the other category, that is predominantly those who reported anonymously, but there also were some outside service providers that reported bullying, and other caregivers besides parents that reported as well. This year we had one confirmed case of bullying, so again, to reiterate, that does not mean we didn't have examples where staff and for schools and teachers and assistant principals and principals needed to engage with students on how to treat each other and how to talk with one another. But in terms of actual confirmed cases of how we define bullying, there was one as of 5/29. All allegations, regardless of if there is confirmed bullying, resulted in contact to parents and guardians of all students involved. Most allegations resulted in school safety plans, and this is what I tried to touch on earlier, that while we only had one confirmed case of bullying, it is very likely that almost every allegation or area of concern or conflict between students resulted in a school leader or school administrator providing a safety plan, which can involve a number of things, stay-away orders for students, extra set of eyes for students, check-ins or free check-ins for students to access specific staff. It really can be, I shouldn't try to name them all, there could be a lot of different ways for students to remain safe at school, to feel safe at school so they can access their learning fully. And that's just one of the ways that we try to support students and also be proactive in our prevention of repeated behaviors of harassment or harm. We do collaborate often with our school resource officers, and not just in the case of when there's defined or confirmed cases of bullying, but ways that we can engage our school resource officers to provide education and support, especially when the bullying goes outside of the school walls. As we know, it's common to be online or even in neighborhoods or outside schools. We know it's important to engage our school resource officers to provide support when necessary. One aspect of the data that we look closely at is actually the location of the bullying. So here you have 38 incidents occurred in school. When I say in school, it can be classroom, buses, recess, etc. And 9 incidents occurred outside of school or outside of the traditional school day. Mostly that is online, but we did see a couple incidents this year of reported at sporting events. And that doesn't necessarily mean school-sponsored sporting events. That could even be sporting events, run outside of the school, but impacted the school day. And then I always try to make sure that I include a year-over-year comparison so that you can see the data that we collect. So the last 2 years have looked similar, allegations in the 40s with low incidence of actually confirmed cases of bullying. I also try to be really careful, and I hope this makes sense, that we don't look at this data strictly at, does the lack of allegations or lack of confirmed bullying simply define our success? And what I mean by that is we want students to speak up. We want families to share with us conflict. We don't want to discourage people reporting bullying. We also want to empower our students, and I'll talk about this in a later slide, to manage and to support one another. But as long as students are in school, we want them to feel safe. So allegations is not a way that we measure success. We will look at actual cases of bullying, and we do want that number to be low, because through good prevention and school safety plans, we want to limit repeated behaviors of harassment. And that's something that we have a lot of pride and make sure that we work carefully on. The last thing I want to clarify, because I've said for the last 3 or 4 years that one of the requirements of the law is that school districts report allegations, and confirmed cases of bullying, but the state for many, many years was not actually collecting allegations. So even though it's written in the law, you couldn't hop online and check out the number of allegations, which is why we agreed, Nancy, I remember you and I were on that committee, to do that here, so we were being transparent. And so that we were not hiding or not, limiting or not sharing our allegations. So even though it said it, that confused a lot of folks that we as a district might have been not being as transparent as we should have been. And when in actuality, DESE just didn't have the means to collect all the data on all the allegations. They also were concerned about district not having the means to collect their own allegations, even though we have been since 2018, 2019. Last year, they did collect allegations, but as of May 29th, there was still no reporting mechanism for those allegations. So I'm just reporting it all to you now. And finally, the final slide I try to highlight moving forward. I will be honest with you all, some of these bullet points haven't changed because frankly, they're effective. So we've kept them in place. We continue our commitment to social emotional learning. Just this year alone, I have 2 people working in summer R&D to look at ways to improve the counseling seminar services that we provide our students, because we know that preventative support to engage students proactively is a great way to limit bullying or harassment in our schools. We continue to maintain, as I said, and committed to updating our prevention and investigation plans to make sure that they're reflective of best practices. Our reporting methods are communicated to all staff, students, and relevant stakeholders. We try to address increased reported bullying on school bus and other supervised areas. So that's one data spot that was new for this year, was an increase in school bus harassment or teasing. So that's something that we started talking about at leadership, perhaps some more proactive bus training and bus discussions at the start of the year. And as is pretty typical, we see the most allegations or concern from bullying in unsupervised areas. So we work really diligently with our principals to limit unsupervised areas. We continue to provide, we're really proud, we are a school district that has not only has trainers from Mark who come in, but we actually have 7 train-the-trainers. So at each of our buildings, we have someone who's been trained to train staff in the most updated way to prevent bullying and cyberbullying. And actually, I do want to highlight, because it was said earlier this year, that Dr. Goff actually had one of the trainers come to her student superintendent cabinet and provide that training to students. And it was incredibly popular. So now we're talking about how we can roll that out more with our high school age students to actually provide that training to them. And we will continue to do that for all staff, and we will continue to our commitment to record and maintain transparent recording practices and procedures to hold us accountable to creating the most safe and supportive schools that we can.
Questions or comments for Dr. Hahn? Ms. Rogers.
Super helpful. Thank you for the reporting. I love the idea of having the trainers with the high school. have been thrown into middle school life and hear every day about all the dramas of middle school. So I just was wondering if there's like an age-appropriate, similar type thing of like empowering kind of that peer-to-peer interacting with each other. And like, I think there's a lot of things being thrown around of bullying, harassing, boys are the worst, girls are the worst, everyone's the worst. But how can we, doing more of that, like how to resolve conflict peer-to-peer. Because I think the word bullying is used so much, right? And just trying to, I don't know, I feel like middle school could be a really important place to focus. Like high school too, right? But I think middle school is when it really all starts to fester. Maybe that's just because I'm in the middle of it, but.
No, and the data would support,
The worst.
it would support your,
Worst.
yeah, it
Yeah.
would support your point, that is where we see the high incidence, not just in Walpole, but beyond, outside school. And just to be clear, that training is training intended for staff, so it's not like we're holding on to it and not, we just took some great school leaders, and actually, it's all about perspective taking. And so we decided it was a great opportunity to figure out how we could tailor it. And so, I think that the person who's the main trainer in our district is a middle school counselor, and she is incredibly committed to providing, that same extended support to our students. But with that said, we don't ever stop looking at this. And
Yeah.
we've tried a few different models to try to find the one that best fits our assistant principals this year, and some other additional staff. Want to really in-depth training about restorative practices, which is a really important approach to getting peers to talk to one another, to hold each other accountable. So like, this is something we're always looking to continue to develop and improve.
Yeah, I know it's hard to probably send that message so globally, like to so many middle school students. And I feel like it's great when they do connect with counseling services. And I know that they get more general, SEL stuff. But just thinking of other ways of like, how do we really like send this message to the whole group more and more?
Yeah. I think something you said that's really important is the peer-to-peer support. Because what we do know, and this is what Mark talks about out of Bridgewater, is that many, many years ago, when this became a hotter issue, when we were talking about it more, we really emphasized adult intervention. And it came from a really good place, right? And adults should be engaged and paying attention and listening to kids. But what was forgotten, and this is what Mark really pushes, is this idea that actually we have to empower our kids to interact and to address one another, that is the greatest way, that accountability for them with one another. And I think that's been a really important shift for us to hear, to think about how, as adults, we can have rules, but we can also support kids to have better peer-to-peer interactions. That's what we really liked about the Mark training, because it tries to really encourage that model, which we know through their research has been far more productive to actually limit bullying.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments, Mrs. Gallivan?
This is another important topic, and I think it's important to sort of highlight to the community that schools help kids grow up, and it's different at each level. But I think Adrian's right, that at middle school, it's particularly challenging, because kids are trying to be a little bit more independent, and a lot of the behavior things don't fall into bullying officially, but there's just an awful lot of interpersonal stuff where kids say things that maybe they immediately even know. They wish they could take the words back, or they need somebody to point out to them that there was a better way of saying things. I think we've added counselors over the last few years significantly, and I think it would be great. We didn't have counselors come into our school committee meeting, but I think that going for next year, that would be a good thing to do, because I think it benefits the parents as well. And I think during COVID, we got away from some of the sort of popular parent seminars that were offered, because I think it stinks when your kid is feeling isolated, or your kid is just hurting because friendships are changing. So, I think that that's just an important thing. So the topic is a big one, but I'd like us to put a little bit more focus on helping kids through difficult conflicts, even though it's not necessarily strictly bullying. But thank you.
Further questions or comments relative to bullying? Seeing none, thank you very much, Dr. Hahn. Dr. Goff, Superintendent's Report.
Yeah, short and sweet tonight. So, we're now approaching the end of the school year, and the last day for our preschool students is June 12th, and the last day for our students in K through 11 is June 13th. We continue to be grateful for the staff for their dedication and hard work, and we appreciate the partnership with our families in the Walpole community. And we do ask families to please check for those updates from their child's principal regarding these last day of school. I just want to reiterate Sunday, when we celebrated the 150th commencement ceremony for our grads to honor that senior class, 2024. I also want to do a shout out and thank the staff and the volunteers for their hard work to make this such a special occasion. And we wish our graduates well as they embark on a journey filled with wonderful opportunities. Didn't rain this year, was getting a little hot there in the end, right, Dr. Hahn, in those robes? So I do want to, I gave this sheet from Desi, this handout. It looks like it's very short, and that's a really good thing that it's short, by the way. This is something to be celebrated, that we received a letter from Desi regarding our federal grants focus monitoring review. It's kind of like the audit. If you remember, we did a special ed, we did our Title III. This was an audit for review for Title I, that targets our low-income and at-risk students, our Title IIA, that's what supports professional learning, and our Title IVA, and that's student support. And as you can see from that letter, Walpole Public Schools completed the requirements, and there are zero follow-up actions required by the district, and it is nothing short of amazing. So I want to thank Dr. Hahn, because he was working day and night on this. I think it was the review that would never end to prepare for it. And also Jody Delpha and Kathy Mortale. I mean, this is amazing, so congratulations. And I also want to congratulate publicly our amazing retirees, and we thank them for enriching the lives of our students, and we wish them a very happy retirement. So we have Nancy Basivas is an extended day assistant at Fisher. Nancy Carroll, who you saw last school committee meeting, digital learning coach at Boyden. Suzanne Gallivan, grade 3 teacher at Boyden. Dave Gauthier, Walpole High School custodian. Jane Gauthier, accounts payable coordinator. Janice Gilson, educational support professional at Boyden. Nancy Golden, grade 5 teacher at OPR. Lisa Grasso, grade 3 teacher at Fisher. Diana Liederman, executive secretary at Central. Catherine Manella, educational support professional at Walpole High School. Allison O'Hara, reading teacher at Johnson Middle School. Tracy Robinson, speech language pathologist at the high school. Christine Ryan, moderate special needs teacher at Johnson. Kelly Udall, educational support professional at Walpole High School. And Janet Smith, Walpole Public School Student Support Services. So we congratulate them and wish them well.
Questions or comments of the superintendent? Seeing none, moving on, middle school building project update. Mr. Breen.
So it's on budget and on time. We do need to make people aware that the school will be open in September, but the site will not be completed. So the traffic patterns and parking and so forth are going to be something for middle school parents to be attentive to when the time comes.
Excellent. Further updates, Dr. Goff.
2 quick things. A grade 6 slide presentation went out to our rising grade 6 families, in case people, weren't able to attend, and that they're also working on the slide presentation for rising 7 and 8 families. That'll be forthcoming. Typically, in the past, we haven't sent that out, but just where there's some changes, they're alternate from the grade 6 slide presentation. And I know there's been some questions, like also from community members, when can we get in, when can we get a tour? So really, once we get occupancy and the staff is allowed in the building, that's the goal first. And, we don't anticipate that until like early August to try, that's the goal, to get admin in. And then after that, we'll get our students in, and then after that, the rest the community will follow. Vertex will come up with a schedule, and as soon as Vertex comes up with that, they'll give it to us, and then we'll be able to share that. And we'll find out, so that's the update.
Anything further? Moving on to the high school, I know there was a school, a permanent building committee meeting, so I don't know if a permanent building committee member or a school focus group member wants to kick it off? The high school update?
Well, we could talk about, we got our estimate,
60%.
60% estimate. So we had our PBC meeting this week, and it's over by 2.3 billion-ish, so there are 2.3 million, I thought I said billion-ish, no?
I thought I heard
It sounded
billion.
like a B.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Really sunk that in.
Yeah, so they're going to be doing, what is it, VE,
Value
value
engineering.
engineering. I was going to say virtual engineering. I'm getting tired. So value engineering, which means that, they'll look at materials and see if there's things that they can cut that won't change our plans too much, but we're going to be going over that closely, and I think that was the main point of the meeting.
Yeah, so we'll be having some discussions about that
Discussions about it.
forthcoming, because, we want to make sure that we want to maintain the integrity of our educational program as much as possible. That's really important.
Ms. Denizio?
I think we should mention too, some folks had registered for a community forum, giving more information to the community on the project for this week. And the decision was made to postpone that, for a couple reasons. First and foremost, that we didn't yet have the cost estimates even at 60%. And so we feel like when we do go before the community and explain in greater detail what we're doing, that we have as accurate and complete information as we possibly can. And then secondary to that, this is a tough time of year to get people's attention on an online forum, and we're hoping for more robust registrations in the fall.
Good point.
Update from the working group?
No updates. We got the estimate, and PBC met. We're meeting next week, so I think after our discussion.
I know we asked for extensive detail as much as possible,
Yep.
which will get to us, and we'll be speaking about this soon. Anything further? Seeing none, excellent. Subcommittee activity, doesn't look like we had any in the meantime. Would someone like to take the warrants? Laura Rogers.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the following warrants. Accounts payable for schools, food service, special ed, and student activity, all under warrant number 224047 for the amounts listed in your packets.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Rogers, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the following accounts payable warrants for schools, for food service, and special education, all under warrant number 224048 for the amounts listed in your packets.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Rogers, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. Gift and donation approval. Would someone like to take those?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following donation, system-wide from Bay State Federal Savings in the amount of $500. Fisher School from Bay State Textiles, $69.30, and Old Post Road School from Bay State Textiles for $83.70.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sarek, second by Mrs. Rogers. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. Would someone like to take the minutes?
Yep, I would like to make a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2024 Curriculum Subcommittee meeting minutes, the May 23rd, 2024 School Committee meeting minutes, and the May 29th, 2024 School Committee Workshop meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Denizio, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. We have one final item before adjournment, which the chair declares there is a need for executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, subsection 21A, for purpose 2. The purpose is for non-union negotiation strategies. Chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session and to return only for the purposes of adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Gaotitz. Poll the committee. Mrs. Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Breen.
Yes.
Ms. Gaotitz. Ms.
Yes.
Syrek. Mrs. Gallivan.
Yes.
Mrs. Denizio.
Yes.
Mr. Buckley is yes. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful summer. We'll see you back here soon.